Hi, all. Good morning. Wish you a very warm welcome. It is my great pleasure to have with us here Mr. Josenrique Cueto, who is going to talk about the state of transportation in Miami-Dade County. Mr. Cueto currently serves as Deputy Director and Chief Project Delivery Officer for the Miami-Dade Department of Transportation and Public Works, DTPW. He's responsible for overseeing DTPW's $6.2 billion capital improvement program. This includes a lot of different things, including strategic Miami area rapid transit program, improvements to the county's existing transit, roadway, bridge, and other transportation infrastructures. In addition to leading capital improvements, he's also responsible for the department's permitting, right-of-way acquisition, and several other efforts. So just so you know, DTPW is the 15th largest transit agency in the entire US and the largest in Florida. It also operates the largest roadway and bridge network within the state. Mr. Cueto holds a bachelor's degree in civil engineering from so proud Allen, along with a master's degree in environmental engineering from the University of Florida. Thank you very much for doing this, and we are all ears.
Thank you, Pranoy, and thanks to the university for the invitation. I'm glad to be here with you all today to talk a little bit about our department, what Miami-Dade County is doing with relation to transportation infrastructure, and where we would like to hopefully get the university and all of our community stakeholders engaged. Glad to be back. As you mentioned, I'm a alum. I see Dr. Helena Solo Gabriel is on the call. She was one of my professors, and so it's always great to be back among family at the University of Miami. And so with that, if everyone can see the screen well, I'll kick it off and just add to a little bit of what Pranoy shared with the group. What is DTPW? DTPW is the Miami-Dade Department of Transportation and Public Works. It's an agency. It's a mix of a transit agency and a public works entity. We're actually the #1 largest transit agency in the state of Florida, the 15th largest public transit system in the country, and the largest roadway network in the state of Florida as well. We operate, we have various modes of transportation. Our largest mode and what people use the most is our bus system. We have 27 million miles of Metro bus service throughout Miami-Dade County, 101 routes and over 800 buses, electric, diesel, and compressed natural gas buses running throughout town. We have 25 miles of elevated Metro rail track running very near to the University of Miami and throughout the rest of Miami-Dade County. We have a 20-mile bus rapid transit system that I will be speaking about in more detail shortly. It's actually one of the largest and longest in the world, as well as a 4.5-mile Metro Mover system in downtown. It's an automated people mover that gets folks to and from the core and also makes critical connections to our Metro Rail system. If not for this system, we wouldn't be able to get around downtown, particularly on high use days like heat games and ultra and other events that without the system, we just wouldn't be able to access the area as easily as we can today. And then on the public works side, we have over 9,000 miles of roadways that the department owns and manages, as well as 4,000 miles of sidewalk and about 200 bridges. And so just in terms of a backdrop as to kind of the problem statement for our department and what we're here to do is, Miami-Dade is a huge area, about 2,400 square miles of area and a huge population, 2.8 million people at this point, and an incredible amount of visitors over the course of the year, about 25 million visitors. And as a result of having all these folks and there's a tremendous amount of progress going on in Miami-Dade County, we have a corresponding challenge of how do we move people and goods and services efficiently and effectively throughout the county. And so unfortunately, because of all of this growth, we do have congestion, and that congestion leads to economic opportunity cost. And so we estimate that congestion and the lack of effective transportation is costing this community around $2.6 billion a year. That's about $1,200 per commuter in hours lost commuting every day. And so our problem statement, our mission is to solve this issue and get people around more efficiently and effectively to where they need to go. Just again, in the way of context and background, how do people move around in Miami-Dade County? On this slide, you'll see most folks, unfortunately, today still use a personal vehicle, about 77%. The remainder of people either carpool, use public transportation, about 6% use public transportation. Some use bicycle, facilities, some walk to and from work and such, but the majority of folks use a personal vehicle. So our goal as a transit agency is to increase the number of people using either public transportation and or some of our other multimodal facilities like bike paths, like the Underline, which we'll speak to as part of this presentation. As you'll see here, just a fun fact, we actually have more vehicles per household than people per household in Miami-Dade County. So again, it's an area of focus and something that we're trying to address through our program. Just in the way of how many people use the system today, our transit infrastructure, we, as you'll see on the screen, in the various modes, we have varying, amounts of usage. About 100,000 people a day use, a weekday use Metro bus. In the case of Metro Rail, we're looking at about 40,000 people a day. Metro Mover on the order of 15 to 20,000 people a day, and paratransit, which is a service for handicapped and elderly individuals that wouldn't otherwise have transportation service, sees about 5,000 users a day. So altogether, we move on the order of 200,000 people a day, which is a huge portion of the population. About 10% of the population in Miami-Dade County is using our services at any particular given time. And so our job, our mission is to address these transportation challenges that exist. We have roadway capacity constraints throughout the county. We have deteriorating and aging infrastructure in the way of our bridges and other infrastructure. We have unsafe streets. We actually have about 300 fatalities a year on our streets, whether pedestrians and or vehicles or cyclists. And so there's a huge focus on making our streets safer through our Vision Zero program and other programs that you'll see and hear about just shortly. We have pavement condition that's in bad shape that needs addressing. We need more access to transit, and of course, we need to leverage technology to make all of this happen. So, again, our problem statement is broad. What's our approach to solving these issues? The primary tool and mechanism through which those issues are addressed is our capital program. The department has a robust capital infrastructure program. It's on the order of $6.2 billion in investments that are being made and will be made over the next several years. And those investments can be divided into various categories. The largest of which is what we call the SMART program. That's a strategic Miami area transit, a rapid transit program that will extend mass transit, rapid transit infrastructure to areas of Miami-Dade County that need it, where population centers are and where job centers are. And we'll talk a little bit more about the SMART program in just a few minutes. But beyond the SMART program, we also have other areas of investment, critical areas of investment in our existing transit infrastructure, our existing stations, our existing bus stops, and the like. Our safety bike ped trail program is a significant part of our capital program. Our roadway and neighborhood improvements, widening of roads, making improvements to connectivity, pedestrian connectivity, sidewalks, pavement, and the like throughout our neighborhoods is huge. It's critical, on the order of $700 million slated for investment in the next several years. And then our bridge program, although only showing here as 64 million, the federal funds and other grant opportunities that are being pursued are in the hundreds of millions of dollars to deal with those bridges that are in deteriorated states and a risk from a structural perspective. And so altogether, this program makes up that $6.2 billion of investment of dollars that are going to be going into infrastructure and transportation over the next several years. So let's talk a little bit about the SMART program. What is the SMART program? It's a program that advances 5 rapid transit corridors of the People's Transportation Plan throughout Miami-Dade County. The People's Transportation Plan, for those who may not be familiar, came about as a result of a referendum that the voters of Miami-Dade County passed in 2002 that authorized a half-penny sales tax, surtax, on all of our expenditures. As we buy things throughout the county, we get an extra half cent that other folks in the state don't get assessed, and that half a penny gets applied towards investments in transit. And so the program involves these corridors, 5 corridors: the South Corridor, the North Corridor, the Northeast Corridor, the East-West Corridor, and the Beach Corridor. And in the next slides, we're going to walk through what each of these entails and what status and what is the schedule for getting these projects underway and completed. So the South Corridor, South-Dade Transitway, is a bus rapid transit extension that connects the Dadeland South Metro Rail Station to Florida cities at Southwest 344th Street, where Miami-Dade County currently has a park and ride lot where we provide bus service. This bus rapid transit project involves a 20-mile corridor the construction of 14 stations, bus rapid transit stations, similar to the photo that's on the screen, and will provide essentially a train-like service along those 20 miles of route. The buses will not stop at the various intersections and will be able to get to their destinations much quicker. It will shorten the travel time from Florida City to Dayland South and that connection to the Metro Rail from about 70 minutes today to about just over 40 minutes in the future. So it's a significant reduction in travel time, and really being able to get folks, workers, and other folks from South Dade to the urban core and back in the afternoons. This project is currently under construction. As you'll see in these photos, all of the stations are up. Our park and ride and lot and facilities are under construction at 168th Street. And we expect it to be fully completed by the second quarter of 2022. So in about 6 months or so, 6 to 8 months, this project will be completed, and it's the first of our 5 smart program corridors. The project had a cost, or has a cost of $380 million. And that was a partnership in terms of funding from our local county, Miami-Dade County, the state of Florida, as well as the federal government in the way of the Federal Transit Administration. So it takes a village, and in this particular case, it's about a third partnership in funding this improvement. Just a little bit more on the parking garage. This is one of the key features of the project on 168th Street. This garage will allow folks to come in, park, take an elevator, vertical circulation down to the station. The station is actually underneath that the structure, and would allow people to easily access and get onto the BRT and run to Dayland South and get on the Metro Rail service to go to work in downtown or Coral Gables or wherever they might be headed to. Another interesting point on this project is that the buses that will operate on the corridor are 100% battery operated, electric battery operated buses, 60-foot articulating buses, that the department's made a $200 million investment to buy 100 of these buses to be able to run them on this corridor. Moving on, the next corridor is the Northeast Corridor. Many folks on this call may be familiar with Brightline. This project is an expansion, essentially, of the service along that that railroad, those sets of tracks. The county is proposing, Miami-Dade County is proposing constructing 5 new stations between downtown and Aventura to provide a commuter-like service to the residents of Miami-Dade County. These 5 stations will be located at Wynwood, the Design District, Little Haiti, North Miami, and at FIU Biscayne campus. The Aventura station that was recently inaugurated was actually a county investment. The county invested $70 million into that station, allowed Brightline to build it and use it in the interim. But the commuter service will run from Miami Central Station to Aventura and back at these locations. The project is currently at preliminary design, exiting the planning phase and entering the grant phase with FTA, with the Federal Transit Administration. We expect to have this project completed by 2028 and starting construction in 2025. So this corridor is the next corridor of the SMART program that will be effectuated and taken forward and provide a critically needed service to the residents of Miami-Dade County. Just a little bit more in terms of where we are with relation to this project and what the timeline is to getting this done. The total capital cost is on the order of $588 million. We expect we have received a state match of $103 million. Our local Miami-Dade County dollars are on the order of $196 million, and we expect the federal share for this project to be on the order of $288 million. In terms of ridership, we expect about 3 million riders in the first year of operation and about 5 million riders in 2045. So there's a robust demand that will support this project and again provide a critical service to the residents of Miami-Dade County. The Beach Corridor is the third corridor of the SMART program. This is an extension of the Metro Mover system from downtown Miami to Miami Beach. It involves the construction of 2 stations, both on Miami Beach on 5th and Washington and 5th and Lenox. This project would create what's been lacking in terms of a transit connection to Miami Beach for many, many years. And we expect the project to have a capital cost of about $1 billion and to be funded by state and local dollars. We expect the completion of this improvement by 2030. This is actually a first phase of an overall what we call the beach corridor, which also involves a Metro Mover extension to the design district and to Midtown. And so in terms of a future state, what the Metro Mover system would look like is service in downtown in Brickell, in the Arts District, in the Omni District, as well as connection to Miami Beach and connection to the north to those areas that are growing rapidly, Wynwood, Design District, Midtown, and the like. And again, this is a free service today, and that will likely be the case in the future. And then our largest corridor, the North Corridor, involves a Metro rail extension from the Martin Luther King Station on 27th Avenue and 62nd Street to County Line, to the stadium, to Hard Rock Stadium. A good way for us to get to the Canes games in the future. This project is our largest corridor in terms of investment at about $2 billion. It involves the construction of 8 stations along 27th Avenue and 5 park and rides. And the project is currently in the project development and environmental phase, going through NEPA, which is the National Environmental Protection Act clearance, to be able to proceed with other critical activities, including land acquisition, engineering design, and eventually construction. We expect this project to be finished, started with construction in a few years and completed in early 2030s, like 2031, 2032, in that order. And then finally, the East-West Corridor is a bus rapid transit service along the 836 that contemplates 3 stations at 87th Avenue, 97th Avenue, and 107th Avenue. It would provide a connection to the airport and to downtown, has an approximate capital cost of $400 million. We expect funding to be federal, state, and local. And we are just completing the NEPA phase and the planning process with the FTA at this point in time, and expect to take this project forward over the next several years. The SMART program, as we had mentioned earlier, is not the entirety of the department and the county's capital program as it relates to transportation infrastructure. We're also making significant improvements to our existing transit assets. And so one of our programs is our Transit R&R and Facilities program that's intended to renew and replace our existing facilities. For example, developing park and ride facilities. We just built the Miami Park and Ride recently. It opened in December. It's on 8th Street and 147th and provides folks an opportunity to leave their car near their neighborhood, get on the bus and go to downtown, go to the airport, go where they need to go. This program will also be remodeling and refreshing a lot of our Metro Rail stations, our maintenance facilities, our parking garages, and undertaking other upgrades to physical assets and infrastructure. It's essentially ensuring that all of our transit infrastructure is in a state of good repair, and that we can attract choice riders and ridership from amongst the community as a result of the quality of the service. And here on this next slide, you'll see some photos of many of these projects. This is the Miami Park and Ride, our electrification and electric bus fleet. Out of our 800 buses, we have 175 that are currently fully electric. Improvements to our Metro Rail system in the way of our acoustical barriers and others. Beyond the Transit R&R program, we also have a robust safety bike ped trail program. Many of you may be familiar with the Underline program or project. That's a project that's being taken forward by our department, by the Department of Transportation and Public Works. That project on its own is a $150 million investment in multimodal transportation. It's a bike path, it's a pedestrian path, and it's a linear urban park. Like the Underline, we have many other projects in our program that are making improvements to how we get around on foot, how we get around on bikes, providing ADA accommodations and accessibility, and really meeting our objectives with relation to Vision Zero and trying to get to 0 fatalities and serious injuries within our county at large through these investments. Examples of these projects beyond the Underline include the South Day Trail, include a number of projects that we can speak to during the Q&A session. And here you'll see a few photos of these projects, notably the Underline, which has been kind of a marquee program for us. We also did a downtown micromobility improvement where bike lanes, delineators were installed in downtown to provide better access for bicycles and for pedestrians. That has been a big success. And then also improvements along the Rickenbacker Causeway that have increased and enhanced safety for users. And of course, we're very active in Bike 305 and in the biking community at large here in Miami-Dade County. In addition to transit and bike ped, we also have a number of roadway and neighborhood improvements that are ongoing constantly throughout the county, whether it's milling and resurfacing, widening of roads, or other improvements, stormwater improvements for drainage. All of these are taken forward by Miami-Dade County, by the Department of Transportation and Public Works. At the moment, we're expanding Northwest 107th Avenue, we're expanding Southwest 157th Avenue, 328th Street, Northwest 84th Avenue, and others to provide that capacity that's required to relieve congestion and ensure folks can get around efficiently and effectively. Our bridge program, as I mentioned earlier, is robust because of the nature of our bridges. Many of them are over 50 years old in the nature of our community and require renewal and replacement. And so some of the more prominent bridges that are currently underway in terms of replacing and improving include the Venetian Causeway, which is about a 100-year-old bridge that connects downtown Miami to the Venetian Isles and to Miami Beach. We are taking this project forward over the next several years. It's completed in design and will be entering construction in the next 24 months. Other examples include the Northwest 17th Avenue Bridge, the Bear Cup Bridge on the way to Key Biscayne, the Northeast 10th Street Bridge, and many others. All in, we expect to invest on the order of $500 million to $600 million in bridges over the next 5 years. And before concluding, we want to talk a little bit about some of the other programs that our department has ongoing and is putting forth, not directly related to infrastructure, but still having a significant impact on how folks move throughout the county and get around. One of these programs is our transit-oriented developments or transit-oriented communities. What these are is essentially developments in and around transit hubs, metro rail stations in our case for the most part, that reduce reliance on personal vehicles, increase ridership of our transit system, and create necessary housing for our community, which is a major focus given the lack of housing and affordability crisis that we're currently living through. And so our transit oriented communities program is quite robust. And in the next slides, you'll see a little bit more about this program and what we're doing. Obviously, transit-oriented communities are advanced equity of advanced sustainability in that they allow for less use of cars. They create affordable housing and create housing opportunities for folks who may not otherwise have them, including elderly housing. And of course, all of these projects, since they are county projects, are meeting LEED requirements, LEED certification requirements. Many of them incorporate solar power and a number of sustainability principles. And so just in the way of history of the program, the TOD or TOC program in Miami-Dade County, since actually the 1970s, Miami-Dade County has been planning for transit-oriented communities, the first of which was the Daytrans Center in Dadeland, the Dadeland area. However, in the years between the 70s and now, there wasn't as much focus on transit-oriented developments. And so in recent years, we've been able to take forward a robust program of several transit-oriented communities and transit-oriented developments. To date, DTPW has completed 17 transit-oriented developments. You're about to see a few examples of those. We currently have 16 transit-oriented developments underway, many of which are actually near to the University of Miami. And we have 4 transit-oriented developments in planning. We're currently generating, the department is over $5 million in rent revenue from these developments. And we're expecting that number to grow significantly to over $10 million in the next few years. Examples of transit-oriented communities or developments that the department's taking forward, and you may have actually seen, include the Lincoln Douglas project on US 1 and Douglas Road, which is adjacent to, of course, the Douglas Metro Rail Station. The first phases of this project have been completed, which included a 22-story tower with 300 residential units and ground floor retail, in addition to a 37-story tower called Cascade with 374 residential units and more than 75,000 square feet of open space and a garage for our transit patrons. The project is not done. We will be building an additional 330 residential units and additional towers on the south side of the Metro Rail station in what's currently a surface parking lot. Prior to this project, what was there was essentially a parking lot for the Metro Rail station. So we're really leveraging and making the best use of an underutilized asset and creating economic opportunities for the community, but also for ourselves. And as we mentioned earlier, creating ridership for the system. In addition to the improvements, the development improvements, the project has also driven improvements to the Metro Rail station And for those that have maybe been there, you'll see upgrades in lighting, upgrades in flooring, aesthetics, technology, display panels, you name it. The station looks and feels like the development, looks new, and is really doing a great job of attracting choice riders to our system. Other projects include, for example, the Brownsville Transit Village, which was a 5.2 acre site, was taken forward as a joint development project that generated 400 housing units, parking for our transit patrons, and a number of other amenities to the community, including a community center, computer labs, exercise rooms that this neighborhood would have otherwise not had. An example close to the University of Miami is the Vox building at the South Miami station. Is actually a student housing transit-oriented development that began construction in 2019. To date, 102 student housing units have been completed over the existing parking garage at the station. And the second phase of this project is about to start, which will add more housing units. So in this case, it's actually a student housing project that provided a necessary service to the university. Near to the university, just a few stops from the university station, or actually one stop from the university station. And then another project that we'd like to highlight is the Grove Central project on 27th Avenue and US 1, off of the Coconut Grove Metro Rail station. This project began construction in 2021. It's actually phase one has been completed now. They just obtained their CO last week or the week prior. And this is an exciting project because it's one of the first transit-oriented development that's actually facing the station as opposed to facing towards the road or having the back of house towards the station. This was designed in such a way that when you exit or enter the Metro Rail station, you're pretty much within the development and facing Target, facing Total Wine, and some of these other stores that are coming into this development. In addition to the commercial uses, there's also 400 residential units being built, as well as a parking garage and a bus facility, a bus terminal for our transit system. So all in all, these projects yield a tremendous amount of investment directly related to our transit system, but also on the periphery, and creates an incredible amount of taxable value that comes back to the county in the way of ad valorem taxes and is able to support the remainder of the program. And then finally, just want to touch upon a few of our upcoming transit-oriented communities. At the Palmetto Station, which is the northernmost terminus of the Metro Rail system, there's a project that's just getting off the ground, which will yield 1,000 workforce housing units in 2 phases on about a 6-acre site, our station site there. This is a special project because it came through, it was awarded to a nonprofit organization that helps foster children age out of foster care. And so some of the housing units in this project will be dedicated to these individuals. In addition to that, there will be units that will be given preference to the Department of Transportation and Public Works employees. Our transit operators, our train operators, our maintenance mechanics will have an opportunity to live at this development if they so desire, again, at a workforce housing level, so it's much more affordable than market rate. And they'll be in a position to live close to to our yard, to our maintenance yard, and just have a much shorter commute and a higher quality of life as a result of this project. The project will be building a 1,300 space garage for our transit patrons, covered walkways, provide a bike path, lighting, and other improvements to the station, which are sorely needed given that the station was built more than 20 years ago. And so why do folks do this, and why do we think the program is so beneficial? Because currently in Miami-Dade County, along the Metro Rail system and other transit assets, there's zoning, there's a rapid transit zone overlay that supports this type of development and supports these densities. So it allows developers to undertake this work. We are able to proffer attractive ground leases that allow for developers to build workforce and affordable housing units within the rapid transit zone. 12.5% of all units must be affordable. And so we're driving housing affordability through this program. Of course, since these are developments in and around transit, there's a reduced parking requirement that is very attractive to our development partners and really allows us to move these projects forward. And also there's a number of other benefits, waivers of ad valorem taxes, faster absorption rate, and really these projects can charge a premium to some extent given their proximity to transit and folks not having to have a car. And so again, we're very excited to share with you kind of what's going on with relation to transit-oriented developments throughout the county. And with that, Pranoy, I think we've concluded the presentation. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about what we're doing here and look forward to answering any questions or comments that the group might have.